In this video, we're going to talk about going gray, the rapid speed of a pandemic, and how we as reinventors can adjust to all of this change. How's it going, reinventors? I'm Amelia, and I don't know about you, but since we've been in this COVID-19 time, I'm discovering that I have more gray hair than I used to. If you have found yourself getting more gray during this pandemic, please in the comments below, let me know that I'm not alone. And if you have not subscribed, now would be a great time to do that. This channel is all about inspiring you so that you can live a life of joy, fulfillment, and purpose through reinventing yourself. You might think those three things are impossible right now, but stick with me until the end of the video because I have some ideas on the subject to help you out. I'm a natural redhead, and one of the things that I hate, people say, oh, is your hair natural? Like you could get this shade in the bottle, but whatever. I have always been a redhead. That's how I identify myself. So to know that I'm going gray, and I read recently that redheads don't actually go gray, redheads actually go white. To know that I'm going gray is sort of disconcerting because it's a huge change. Huge change. When you've spent over 50 years doing the same thing, you've got to now adapt to something new. And I have been plucking my gray, white hairs for quite some time. I did notice, I was just looking at my hair and just, I was going like this, looking at all the hair, and you can't see it in the camera. So I was going to try to show you. I think a lot of times because my hair's red, it's actually different colors. It's not like the same color, so that the white kind of blends into everything. So you don't notice it as like you would a brunette. I realize that this is something that I'm gonna have to adapt to. It's not like, I could go out and dye my hair, and it is a possibility, but even the best people out there who dye their hair red, it never looks natural. I'm not sure if I really want to go through that, but I'm not sure I really want to adapt to this change either. Is there a middle ground? So my middle ground has been plugging my hair, and I started thinking about if this pandemic is causing me to go gray faster than normal. I don't know. I'm about that age, so my hair should be changing color anyway, but it just seems like the things are happening at one time. And I thought about how fast this whole thing has happened. it's been less than 3 months since everything started, and I'm still having to figure out what's happening in the world and how to adapt to it. And you think, oh, well, we're gonna turn the corner, it's gonna be over, and it just seems to go on and on. I know that with my hair, it's going to go all gray at some point. I have to adapt to that. If you have gone gray or you cover your gray, you may not want to say that in the comments, but anyway, if you understand being gray, in the comments below, if you'll just give me a thumbs up or a smiley emoji or something so that I know that I'm not alone in dealing with our changing hair. I'd also like to know if there's anybody else out there who plucks their gray. Point is, I think the stress and anxiety of this pandemic has greatly increased the speed in which my hair is turning gray or white. I think that the fear and anxiety and uncertainty of this time, during this coronavirus, during this pandemic, has really sped up the process of me going gray. I realized that this week, and what it really brought home to me was the fact that a lot of times change is very rapid. It's very sudden, and it is sort of kind of out of our control. And the same thing is all with the COVID-19. It's made these huge changes in our society, these huge changes in our economics, these huge changes in the way we relate to one another, in the way we worship, in the way we communicate, in the way we exercise sometimes even, or just go about our daily lives. Huge changes have happened in such a short period of time. The pandemic has really been a rapid process. And in fact, not just here in this country, but across the world, we've seen all these major changes. Look at what's happened with the environment. A lot of the pollution and things that we have kind of grown accustomed to, which is really terrible, have improved. Now, that doesn't mean everything has improved. Things like domestic violence, things like young women in India not being able to get hygienic products, all of those things have been these huge changes, which are not great, but there have been some positive things as well. And change is difficult enough, but when we find this change on this wide scale, this rapid change on this wide scale, kind of sweeping everything in its path, it is a huge undertaking to try to adjust to it. Stress, we have got that in spades. I think the worst thing, at least for me, is being totally out of control. I think it was Governor Andrew Cuomo who said this in one of his many daily reports or whatever, said, this whole thing, this coronavirus, is out of our control. We cannot really control this. We can control our responses, we can control, what we do to try to slow it down, but we cannot control this virus. And I think that's so true. It's no matter what the health organizations tell us, no matter what politicians tell us, no matter what leaders tell us, no matter what our Facebook friends have told us, we cannot control this coronavirus. We cannot really know exactly what we need to do to handle the coronavirus. All we can do is adapt as we go and do the best as we can. We have to look and see where it's hit all over the world. What have they done? What's worked? What hasn't done? And I know there's been a lot of pushback against that. People don't like, especially in this country, people don't like their freedoms taken away. They don't like having a choice. And that's what this pandemic has done. It's so out of control. It's so, people are feeling helpless and they want to have some control back. You might get control, but you also might spread the disease. And I know there's different theories about what you can and cannot do or how it spreads and all of those things, but just looking at how it's been handled in the rest of the world, that's what I'm going by. But at the same time, nobody has this under control. Nobody has the right answer. Nobody knows exactly what we need to be doing. Nobody. And that is what is so stressful and out of control feeling about this time. We can only do the best that we can. Our only thing that we can do is to adapt ourselves to these changes. The same is true when you make changes in your life to reinvent yourself. Sometimes change is rapidly thrust upon us and we have to quickly scramble to adjust. Sometimes we have to make life changes and then adapt then. Other times our adaptations are sort of organic, like things just happen in life and we have to adapt ourselves. The constant in all of these things is adapting. And that really is the key to reinventing. Nothing will ever be the same. Whether you're in the middle of a pandemic or you're reinventing yourself, or if both are happening at one time, like most of us are going through, nothing is ever going to be the same again. The only thing we can do at this point is learn to adapt. We can only move ahead, and to move ahead, we must adapt ourselves. Adapting also means how we handle the changes that we've had with the coronavirus. I know that a lot of us have had to adapt. First, we had to adapt of staying home or at least not going where we want to go. Now we've had to adapt to social distancing. We've had a lot of communication on Zoom and Facebook and on other social media. We are trying to adapt to wearing masks or to staying 6 feet away, or even, how do we handle our jobs if we're still working? What do we do now to adapt? And so that's all been about the adapting in the pandemic. I know that I'm going to have to adapt soon to my only child going off to college, and we don't know what that's going to look like right now. We don't know. He may end up being, upstairs online, but it's still going to be a change that I'm going to have to adapt to, and eventually he will go off to college. That is a form of adapting that I'm going to have to do because of a change in my life, and one that's not exactly under my control. The thing about it is the speed of these things is also very rapid. When you have a child that's leaving the house, when you have a pandemic, a worldwide pandemic, when you have a change in your job, especially if you didn't choose to leave a job and you were laid off suddenly, those are things that you have to adapt to. And you probably had several of those in your lifetime, and you're probably going to have several more. But the way that we've learned how to adapt is also part of what we learn during reinventing. So in the reinventing process, we learn again how to adapt, especially to rapid change. Now, for a lot of us, our reinventing process was something we chose to do, or at least something happened and then we chose to make some changes. But we are learning to adapt as we go. We are fully capable of adapting to change. Now, I don't like the fact that my hair is changing color. And honestly, I am going to be plucking out my gray or white hairs still, but I know eventually that I'm going to have to adapt to this change. And it's going to happen. It's not really in my control, but I know that I can do it because I have adapted to other changes in my life. I want you to live a life of joy, fulfillment, and purpose. But in order to do that, you're going to have to accept your responsibility to adapt to changes. Stop making excuses, stop complaining, stop judging, stop fussing. Just start adapting. Take a deep breath, make a mental note of what you need to do or not do, and then do it. I promise that you will feel so much more at peace. I hope this video was inspiring for you. Please share it with somebody else that you feel also needs inspiration. You can share on Facebook, on Instagram, or in an email. Also, if you have not subscribed, please do so today. And if you click on the notification bell, you will be notified when I post new videos twice a week. Check out these videos here and in the descriptions if you want to know more about reinventing yourself. Have a great one.